Hello, everyone. Today is going to be a tad bit different. I have some notes on my phone that I'm going to take, or I've got it right here, right? So let's go ahead and get into it. Today is 5 of 6, turning followers into high ticket clients without feeling or being salesy, if you feel like you're being salesy, right? We are going to talk about how to turn your LinkedIn influence into strategic collaborations without feeling awkward. And I know sometimes it may feel awkward whenever you're trying to talk about money or selling a product or a service, but there are ways of doing it without sounding so salesy. And really and truly, it boils down to you just being personable, right? And just showing that you have a system to offer that's going to help solve a problem. That's what it boils down to. But it also boils down to building relationships, true relationships with your B2B customers, B2B clients, or just having those types of relationships and conversations, right? Who is this for? Again, this is for client leaders, site owners, aspiring site owners, experts wanting to be heard, anyone making waves, ready to turn the wave into revenue. Okay, so what's the problem? The proof. Engagement doesn't necessarily mean authority. So according to statistics, hidden buyers, 95% become receptive after encountering thought leadership. 79% advocate internally for content creators during RFPs. Only 40% of B2B, now B2B still, I can cut that out. Over 40% of B2B deals stall due to internal misalignment and not product gaps. According to Forbes on B2B messaging, brands that solve a client pain, now I've preached this 100 million times, transform outcomes, outperform peers by up to 60%. Let me say that again. Brands that solve a client pain point, that transforms into outcomes that will outperform peers by 60%. You need to make sure that you personalize, this is what Forbes is saying, personalize your message and make sure you have a sharp positioning of interest that's going to turn into an investment into whatever it is that you have to offer. Now, here is what I call the TAP framework. TAP. So T means tell a real world story. So for example, I live in Southeast Missouri. There are no PIs, and I have to go about things a different way. No site, no community trust. But I have been speaking to physicians in this area, and the ones that I can tell that have an open mind about opening up a clinical, partnering with me so I can open up a clinical research site in Southeast Missouri, it goes over well. And the way I pitch it to them, or I just have a conversation, it's not necessarily a pitch. I'm very real, I'm very honest, and I really don't pull any punches either. I say, hey, would you be interested? Let me ask you a question. This is how I do it. Let me ask you a question. Can I ask you a question? While they're in the middle of doing the assessments on me, they're like, yeah, sure. And I say it just like this. I work in the clinical research industry, and I'm looking for a physician to partner with me. Now, mind you, clinical research doesn't exist at all in this area. And I'm looking to change that. Now, I've been in the clinical research industry for over 4 years, and I work for one of the biggest CROs in the industry. And I tell them the name. They're like, oh, okay, really? Would you be interested in partnering with me to bring something new to this area? And I think you would be a great individual to partner with. And not only that, sponsors are looking for individuals like myself, you and I, to open up a clinical research site, so in a rural area. And I let them know that I have mentorship programs. I have a program for them, for PI, that I will train them on so they'll be a certified principal investigator. I kind of give them the rundown of what they'll need to bring to me, like updated CVs, make sure that they are GCP compliant, they've taken the certification, and I have to show that to the sponsor. And just having real raw conversations and not coming off as in, yeah, you need to partner with me. No, I'm very real and honest, and I make the conversation light, and they absolutely love it. They love the idea of what I'm bringing to the area. And they always say, "Ooh, you're a businesswoman. Ooh, you have so much going on." So these are still B2B conversations that I'm having with physicians. And these are physicians that are open-minded. Mind you, they do not have their own private practice, yet I'm talking to physicians that can actually moonlight, right? Makes a huge difference. If they do not have a non-compete contract, they're able to moonlight. That is your golden target to, have these conversations with them. And it even leads to me saying, you know what? We can have coffee chats at Starbucks. As a matter of fact, before I even get to that conversation, what they say to me is, "Here, let me give you my card. Let me give you my email address." And so I'm making the conversation personable, and I'm telling a real world story that they can relate to because they're in a rural area and they realize what is missing and what's the gap. According to Forbes, it says case studies rooted in real pain and transformation are most effective. And that is the truth, because what I'm telling the physicians and what I'm saying to them is a real pain point in this particular area. And by them partnering with me and opening up a clinical research site, and I'm providing all the infrastructure that's providing a transformation. You see where I'm going with this? It doesn't have to be anything overcomplicated. You make it as simple as possible, and you make it to where the conversations are very relatable, comfortable. There's a little bit of laughing and talking. You be yourself. I'm myself, and it goes over very well. And sometimes I'm a little surprised at how well it goes over, but that comes with being personable, right? Let's go into P. P presents a micro action. Comment case for my 5-page narrative template. These are examples. DM me your biggest obstacle. I'll help you reframe it in 5 minutes. Or the third one, if this resonates with you, let's align calendars for a 10-minute strategy chat. Now, the way I did it was, the micro action was, after they've given me their business card and email address, I follow up with saying, you know what, after I have sent you the email and you read over it, I would like to have a coffee chat with you right here in Saxton. And we have a new Starbucks here, and we can sip some coffee and talk some more about what this will actually look like for the both of us. Goes over well. Okay. Oh, I forgot to mention Anchor. I skipped over that. Anchor with industry insights. LinkedIn delivers 80% of B2B social leads. And this is according to Forbes. Over 40% of deals stall due to misalignment. This isn't about a product fit. It's about organizational needs. This area needs an infrastructure that is going to provide organizational needs. Case in point, Advara finds 92% sponsors and 98% of sites value single point communication. And 53% of sponsors want better tech alignment. Okay. And so for me, whenever I think of Anchor with industry insight, I think of what can I say to the B2B client that's going to align with their needs as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be tech. It's the infrastructure that I'm providing that's going to the information about the infrastructure I'm providing is going to give them insights on what is needed in this particular area. So I'm anchoring with industry insight. The industry insight means we don't have clinical research here. And according to sponsors and CROs, they're wanting to network with individuals like us, right? So that we can provide and fill in a gap. To me, that's how I see it as industry insight. I'm on the inside, but I'm actually living on in an area where they're on the outside perimeter and they're not necessarily seeing or aware of what the industry insights are or what it means, right? Execution tips. So here's some tips. Write conversationally, like you're at a live event. Deliver one insight per post. Clarity is greater than complexity. Make it simple, just like the conversations that I had with the physicians. Share proof, local media free features, sponsor quotes, growth metrics. In my case, the way I'm able to show proof is the fact that it's not a lot of proof I have to show because the physicians, they're very aware of the lack thereof in this area. Frame your value like a C-suite resume. So for example, I solve X, the gap, delivered by Y, the outcome. So I'm ready to help you Z ROI. So say for instance, I solve the clinical research gap in a rural area by bringing clinical research here, infrastructure. And the outcome is I'll be providing jobs. I'll be providing clinical trials that's here in the area. That way patients do not have to drive very far. I'm also providing the education that doesn't exist in this area. So it gives the opportunity for rural individuals to take this education so they gain more knowledge and gain the experience that they need to become more familiar with the clinical research industry. Why does this work? Data plus proof. Edelman, LinkedIn 2025, 95% of hidden buyers trust thought leadership. This is from Edelman. 73% of decision makers trust thought leadership more than brochures. So for me, what that says to me is if they're trusting thought leadership, I'm a leader in this area. And not only am I just talking about it, I'm living something that needs to be addressed in the area. It makes a huge difference whenever you're actually able to express the reality of something that you're living, and it's solving a pain point for the big B2B clients as well, correct? Fierce Healthcare highlights that sponsor and CRO aligned sites are seen as preferred partners. I'll say it again. Fierce Healthcare highlights that sponsor and CRO aligned sites are seen as preferred partners. Okay, so for example, a call to action. Your executive assignment today, pick one part of the TAP, T, A, or P, and let's go back over what T means. T means tell a real world story. I'm really great at that because it's easy for me to do because it's the truth. A, anchor with industry insights, which means you can give insights from articles to actually solidify what the pain point you're trying to solve or the transformation you're trying to deliver. P equals present a micro action. So present a micro action means, hey, after they have given you some information, whether it's their email address or phone number, you follow up and say, you know what, I'm going to call you, I'm going to text you, and let's see if we can, meet up at Starbucks to have more of an in-depth conversation. You're inviting them into your world and you're making them feel comfortable. You're both going to feel comfortable at a place that's very laid back, easygoing. A lot of people love to go to Starbucks to have business-related conversations. All right. You can post it to LinkedIn in 24 hours. You can kind of give a brief overview of what you've done. Share it in the comments, and I'll give you a high-grade feedback. If you're ready to align visibility with long-term partnerships, let's have a roadmap roadmap conversation. No pitches, just pipeline building. That's an example. All right. Last but not least, I'm going to give you an executive cheat sheet. And basically what this cheat sheet says, TAP is in one column, TAP. You're going to have the action in another column, and then the ROI impact in the third column. So let's go over the TAP for T. What is the action? Share a transformation story rooted in authenticity. The ROI, whenever you do that, is going to increase empathy and trust. So again, say for instance, TAP, I'm sharing a transformation story rooted in authenticity. The transformation story that I'm talking about is how partnering with me will actually provide a bigger transformation in a rural area, which is going to help the physicians empathize with what I'm doing. And then that creates a trust and a bond between myself, the physicians, and people seeing someone like me having a partnership with physicians as such is going to increase the trust within the community. They're going to see somebody from the community like ourselves bringing something into this area, which means they're going to know that we understand the need for this area and we're not trying to just come in as big wigs, right? And completely diminish what's in the area, right? We're trying to establish more trust, stability, more opportunities, which will impact the whole community. Okay, A. Action is hit them with elite stats and industry alignment. That means what you do is, remember the Google Alerts that I told you about? You can go to Google Alerts and pull statistics and data from those articles to help solidify what you're trying to say and what you're trying to educate, let's say, the physicians on. The ROI impact is authority. P, the action step is offer a small actionable gesture. The gesture for me will be, let's have a coffee chat. Let's go sip on some coffee and chat some more. Very small, also intimate as well. The ROI impact means, and what it leads to is a lot of engagement, higher engagement, and more leads. So having these types of intimate conversations at Starbucks, what will happen is it will spread by word of mouth with what I'm doing. And people want to get involved with things that have a real ROI, whether it's an investment, money, job opportunities. The word is going to spread abroad. Even one signal from this framework sends a message to hidden buyers. This person knows the pain point that is plaguing the industry, plaguing the business, plaguing what B2B organizations are trying to accomplish, but they're not able to do so because they don't know you yet. You haven't established the fact that you even exist, but that's going to change. This person knows the pain and the way forward that closes doors quietly and effectively. I know the pain. I know how to move forward. That's going to close the gap in the industry, and that's going to resolve a pain point, at least in this area. Now, what I want you to do is just take what we talked about today. Today was very short and sweet and to the point. And I will have some PowerPoint slides for you to review. That's a little bit more in depth. And I want you to, your actionable steps for today is take one of the TAPs and implement that today in your business, or write down some ideas on a piece of paper and say, this is one of the frameworks, whether it's the T, tell a story, real world story, whether it's the A, anchor with industry insight, or whether it's the P, present a micro action. Take one of those, or you can even take all three, combine them together, come up with a solution that's going to solve a pain point and a transformation for your B2B client. And I guarantee you it will go over very well. Just make sure you're personable whenever you start talking and having conversations and meetings with these particular individuals. And I promise you, the right individual will want to partner with you because, first of all, they see the passion, they know that you're real and authentic, and they see that you're wanting to include them in the transformation you're trying to provide for a community. Okay, that's it for today. This was 20 minutes long. Again, today is day 5 of 6, turning followers into high ticket clients effortlessly. And really, not just followers, B2B clients, even not people on LinkedIn. You can turn them into high ticket clients or high ticket partners as well. Let's not forget that part too. So let's look forward to day 6. Day 6, we are going to be talking about positioning yourself for side hustles, partnerships, visibility, and entrepreneurship. Positioning yourself in the right way to be successful. All right. I'm so glad that you have tuned in to today's session. I'm so glad you have tuned in today's session. Make sure if you have any comments, I will answer them. Or if you have any questions, I will answer those too. And I look forward to seeing you soon. All right. See you tomorrow. Bye.